The golden light of the Grand Priest Palace was so bright and pure that Gohan had to shield his eyes with his gloved hand as the travel cube began to slow down. The cube had been traveling faster than the speed of light for hours, but now it came to a gentle stop that felt like a feather landing on a pillow. Gohan felt the floor of the cube vibrate under his boots one last time before the transparent walls dissolved into thin air. The cool and flowery air of the divine realm rushed inside and filled Gohan's lungs. It smelled like rain and sweet perfume. Gohan stepped out onto the smooth white tiles of the palace garden. He felt his heart beating fast against his ribs like a trapped bird. He was nervous. He had been here before for the Tournament of Power, but this time was different. This time, the fate of every single universe was resting on his shoulders. Behind him, Goku and Vegeta stepped out with serious faces. Goku did not have his usual goofy smile. He looked focused. Vegeta had his arms crossed and his eyes were scanning the area for threats. Beerus walked out last, and he looked more nervous than Gohan had ever seen him. Beerus straightened his collar and dusted off his pants. He wanted to look perfect for the Grand Priest. Whis tapped his magical staff on the white ground, and the sound echoed forever across the massive garden of the palace. The sound was like a bell that told everyone they had arrived. Gohan looked around and realized that they were not alone. The multiverse was already there. Warriors from every corner of existence had gathered in the garden. Gohan looked to his left and saw the pride of Universe 11. Jiren was standing tall with his massive arms crossed over his chest. He looked like a statue made of grey stone. His eyes were closed and he was meditating. Next to him was Toppo, who was wearing a God of Destruction uniform that looked very similar to the one Gohan wore now. Toppo looked at Gohan and nodded slowly. It was a sign of respect between two candidates. To Gohan's right, he saw the warriors of Universe 6. Hit the assassin was leaning against a white marble pillar with his hands in the pockets of his trench coat. He looked cool and calm. When he saw Gohan, he gave a very small nod. Kaba and Cauliflower and Kale were there too. They looked worried. Their eyes were wide and they were whispering to each other. Gohan realized that the threat of Kamba was so big that the old enemies were now forced to be brothers in arms. Even the robots from Universe 3 and the magical girls from Universe 2 were there. Everyone looked scared. The Grand Priest appeared at the top of the giant stairs that led to the main temple. He did not walk. He simply appeared there as if he was made of light. His presence made the very air feel heavy and thick like water. It was hard to breathe. He looked down at the gathered warriors, and he did not smile today. His blue skin looked pale, and his eyes were serious. He raised his hand and everyone went silent. The wind stopped blowing. The birds stopped singing. The Grand Priest spoke and his voice was soft, but it carried a power that shook Gohan's bones. He said that the seal was gone. He said that the darkness of the void was spreading like a poison through the stars. He said that Kamba had already consumed 3 small galaxies in the outer rim of the multiverse. Millions of lives had been erased in a single night. Gohan felt a cold shiver run down his spine as he thought about the families on those planets. They did not even have a chance to fight back. They were just gone. The Grand Priest waved his hand and a giant map of the multiverse appeared in the sky above the garden. It was made of golden light, and it was full of tiny glowing dots that represented worlds. Gohan looked up and saw that some of the dots were turning black. As he watched, one dot flickered and vanished, then another dot vanished, then another. It was happening right now. The Grand Priest said that they had only one hope left. He said that they could not fight Kamba with normal energy. Kamba ate normal energy. If they shot a Kamehameha or a garlic gun at him, he would just eat it and get stronger. They needed to forge a new kind of energy, They needed to strike at the heart of the void before Kamba reached his full power. He looked directly at Gohan. The Grand Priest said that the power of a mortal who had mastered the Hakai was the key, but Gohan could not do it alone. Goku stepped forward and asked what they needed to do. The Grand Priest looked at Goku and Vegeta and Gohan. He said that Goku's instinct and Vegeta's ego and Gohan's destruction must become one single force. He called it the Trinity of the Seventh Universe. He said that Universe 7 was special because it produced warriors who constantly broke their limits. He told them to go to the center of the palace garden, where a giant fountain of white fire was burning. The fire did not look hot. It looked like liquid starlight. He said they must enter the fire together and find a way to link their spirits. They had to become one mind in 3 bodies. Gohan looked at his father and then at Vegeta. He felt a deep sense of duty, but also a little bit of fear. Linking spirits meant showing them every dark thought and every secret memory he ever had. It was like being naked in front of the whole world. Vegeta grunted and looked away. He said he did not like sharing his mind with anyone, especially Kakarot. But Vegeta walked toward the fire anyway, because he knew it was the only way to save his daughter Bulla. Goku smiled at Gohan and put a hand on his shoulder. He said it would be okay. He said they were a team. They walked to the edge of the white fire fountain. The heat coming off it was not physical heat. It was spiritual heat. It felt like standing next to a very loud speaker. Gohan took a deep breath. He stepped into the white flames. Goku and Vegeta stepped in with him. The world around them disappeared. Gohan felt a strange sensation. It felt like his brain was being pulled in 3 different directions at once. Suddenly, he was not standing in a garden anymore. He was floating in a world of memories. It was like a dream, but it felt very real. Gohan saw images flashing before his eyes. He saw a small boy with a tail fighting in the woods. It was his father when he was young. He felt Goku's innocence and his desire to be strong. He felt the bump on Goku's head that made him forget his mission. Then the image changed. Gohan saw a proud prince standing over a pile of defeated enemies on a red planet. It was Vegeta. Gohan felt Vegeta's loneliness. He felt the pressure of being a prince. He felt the pain of losing his planet to Frieza. Then Gohan felt them, seeing him. He felt Goku and Vegeta looking into his own soul. They saw his fear when he was a child fighting Nappa. They saw his anger when he fought Cell. They saw his sadness when he stopped training. They saw his love for Pan and Videl. They saw everything. There were no secrets anymore. The 3 of them began to glow. Goku glowed blue. Vegeta glowed yellow. Gohan glowed purple. The 3 colors began to spin in a circle. They moved faster and faster until they mixed together. The blue and yellow and purple turned into a brilliant white light. A massive vortex of power shot up into the sky. It shook the entire palace. Whis watched from the side and his eyes were wide with wonder. He covered his mouth with his hand. He said that he had never seen a bomb like this in all his billions of years of life. It was not just power, it was trust, perfect trust. The training inside the white fire felt like it lasted for 100 years. Gohan felt like he lived 3 lifetimes. But when they stepped out of the fire, only 5 minutes had passed in the real world. Gohan felt different. He looked at his hands. They were steady. He looked at his father. He could feel Goku's heartbeat in the back of his mind. He looked at Vegeta. He could feel Vegeta's resolve like a sharp sword next to his soul. They were now more than just family or rivals. They were a single weapon. The Grand Priest nodded and said that they were ready for the first trial. He said that Kamba had sent a champion to block the path to the void. This champion was waiting in the ruins of a dead universe called Universe 13. Gohan remembered hearing stories about Universe 13. It was a place that Zeno the Omni King had erased long ago because it was full of evil mortals who tried to kill the gods. But Kanba had pulled the ruins of that world back from the trash bin of history. He had brought it back to use as a base. The Grand Priest said that they had to go there and defeat the champion. If they won, they would open a path to Kanba. If they lost, they would die in a dead world. Whis tapped his staff, and a portal opened. The portal was dark and scary. Gohan, Goku, and Vegeta stepped through it without hesitating. They were instantly transported to Universe 13. It was a terrifying place. The sky was a sickly shade of dark green, like bruised skin. There were no stars. The ground was made of broken glass and rusted metal. It was the graveyard of 1 billion cities. There was no sun and no moon. The only light came from the glowing red eyes of the shadow beasts that were crawling in the ruins. The air smelled like old copper and ash. In the center of a giant broken stadium, a warrior was waiting for them. He was sitting on a throne made of bones. He stood up when he saw them. He was huge. He was taller than Broly. He wore black armor that looked like it was made of dragon scales. He had a long cape that flowed like liquid blood. His skin was pale white, and he had 2 curved horns on his head. His name was Akuma the Soul Eater. He was the strongest general in Kanba's army. He looked at Gohan and his voice sounded like 1,000 stones breaking at once. He said that he had been waiting for the new destroyer. He said that he wanted to taste the soul of a hybrid Saiyan. Goku and Vegeta moved to attack immediately. They turned Super Saiyan Blue, but Akuma waved his hand lazily. A wall of black fire erupted from the ground and separated them from Gohan. Akuma laughed. He said that he only wanted to fight the one who carried the mark of destruction. He pointed his finger at Gohan and challenged him to a duel. Gohan looked at his father through the wall of fire. Goku gave him a thumbs up. Gohan looked at Vegeta. Vegeta nodded. Gohan stepped forward and faced the monster. Gohan's purple aura flared up with a sound like a roaring lion. He entered his destroyer state. His hair turned that bright silver color again. He rushed at Akuma. He moved so fast that the ground shattered under his feet. He threw a punch that carried enough power to crack a planet. Akuma did not move his feet. He caught Gohan's fist with his palm. The shockwave blew the green clouds away from the sky. Gohan was shocked. No one had ever caught his punch that easily. Gohan felt a cold energy trying to crawl up his arm. It felt like ice water in his veins. He realized that Akuma was draining his life force just by touching him. Gohan pulled his hand back quickly. He spun around and kicked Akuma in the neck. Akuma flew back and smashed through a skyscraper of rusted metal. The building collapsed on top of him with a deafening crash. Gohan did not wait for the dust to clear. He fired a series of Hakai spheres into the rubble. Each sphere created a small pocket of nothingness that erased the metal and the stone. But Akuma walked out of the dust, and he was not hurt at all. He was brushing dust off his shoulder. He was laughing. He said that his armor was made of the souls of 1 billion warriors he had eaten. He said that Gohan could not destroy something that was already dead. Akuma raised his hands. The shadow beasts from the ruins began to fly toward him. They merged with his body. He began to grow. He grew until he was 30 feet tall. He looked like a mountain of black meat and screaming faces. He roared and the sound shattered the glass ground for miles. Gohan felt a moment of pure terror. How do you fight a monster that eats souls? He looked at his hands and saw that they were shaking again. He felt small. Then he heard voices in his head. It was not Whis or Beerus. It was Goku and Vegeta. Because of the ritual in the fire, they were connected. He heard Vegeta's voice telling him to stop being a coward. Vegeta said that a Saiyan does not fear a big target. A big target is just easier to hit. He heard Goku's voice telling him to believe in his own strength. Goku said that Gohan had something Akuma did not have. Gohan had a heart that wanted to protect. Gohan closed his eyes. He remembered the feeling of the white fire. He realized that he did not have to just use destruction energy. He had to use the bond. He reached out with his mind. He pulled a tiny bit of Goku's blue energy through the link. He pulled a tiny bit of Vegeta's yellow energy through the link. He mixed them with his purple aura. The three colors swirled together in his chest. They turned into a brilliant white light. Gohan's hair grew even longer. His eyes turned a pure and glowing gold. This was a new form. He called it the Trinity Beast. Gohan flew up into the air. He was moving so fast that he looked like a line of white fire painted on the sky. He hit the giant Akuma in the chest. Akuma roared in pain. The white energy was like poison to the black souls. Everywhere Gohan touched, the black scales turned white and crumbled into dust. Gohan began to move in a circle around the monster. He created a tornado of white light. Akuma tried to grab him with his giant hands, but Gohan was too quick. Gohan punched the monster in the face. He punched him in the stomach. He punched him in the legs. Each hit sounded like a holy bell ringing in a church. The monster began to shrink. The souls were being released from his body. Thousands of tiny glowing lights flew out of Akuma and went up into the sky. They were the souls of the warriors he had eaten. They were finally free. They twinkled like stars as they floated away. Akuma shrank back down to his normal size. He fell to his knees. His armor was gone. He looked up at Gohan with fear in his red eyes. He asked what kind of power this was. Gohan stood over him. His golden eyes were full of a quiet peace. He said that this was the power of a family that stands together. He said that Kamba would never win, because Kamba was alone. Gohan raised his hand and pointed his finger at Akuma's forehead. He did not say Hakai. He said peace. A tiny spark of white light shot from his finger. It hit Akuma. The monster did not suffer. He did not scream. He just dissolved into a soft white mist that blew away in the wind. The dark green sky of Universe 13 began to change. The clouds turned white. The sky turned a light blue. The sun began to shine for the first time in 1,000,000 years. Gohan had not just destroyed the enemy. He had purified the world. The wall of black fire vanished. Goku and Vegeta ran over to Gohan. Gohan fell to the ground as his form faded away. His eyes turned back to black. He was exhausted. Goku helped him stand up. Goku was cheering. He said that was the most amazing thing he had ever seen. Vegeta smirked and said it was acceptable, but his eyes showed that he was impressed. Beerus and Whis appeared from a portal. Beerus looked at the blue sky and smiled. He said that Gohan was a true god of destruction now, but he was also something more. He was a god of hope. Suddenly, the blue sky turned red. A giant face appeared in the clouds. It was a face made of shadows. It was the face of Kamba. His eyes were like two bleeding suns. He looked down at Gohan, and his voice made the ground crack. He said that they had won a small battle, but the war had only just begun. He said that he was coming for Universe 7. He said he would eat every star and every planet until Gohan was the only thing left in a dark and empty world. Then the face vanished. Gohan clenched his fists. He looked up at the empty space. He was not afraid anymore. He knew that he had the strength of his father and his friends behind him. He knew that he was the wall that would stop the void. Whis tapped his staff. He said that they had to go. Universe 11 was under attack. Jiren needed their help. Gohan stepped into the cube. He was ready for the next fight. Stay tuned for the next episode to see the defense of Universe 11.